What's going on YouTube? Today we're going to take a look at the Sony a6300 and the a6500 to see if in today's time are these cameras still worth it. Now the only difference between the Sony a6300 and a6500 is that the a6500 has a touchscreen and built-in image stabilization. But other than that, these two cameras are just about identical. Same batteries, same setup, same settings, same everything. If you're watching this video, then you're probably looking for a good budget camera that's going to give you the most bang for your buck. And I think this is a very, very good candidate even in today's time. These cameras are a couple of years old now, but they still pack tons of professional, high quality features that a lot of cameras even today still don't have. They were definitely ahead of their time and they are still very, very much relevant today. So let's go through some of the features for different types of people. First up, for the photographers, you have a 24 megapixel sensor that is plenty large enough for anything that you're going to be posting online. That's also big enough for most of your standard print sizes. So to put that in perspective, an image on a 4K TV is only around 9 megapixels. So 24 megapixels is definitely more than enough for most things that people are going to do. Let's talk about autofocus. You have 425 phase detection points and 169 contrast detection points. So the autofocus is extremely fast and is very accurate. Sony is known for having very good autofocus. And the only thing that can really compete with that is Canon's dual pixel autofocus, but you're not gonna find that on the camera anywhere near this price range. You also have eye autofocus, so at the press of a button, the camera is gonna find the eye of your subject, focus on that, and it's going to hold focus to make sure the eye is always in focus, which comes in very handy when you're taking portraits or something like that, especially at a low aperture like 1.4 or 1.8. You hit a button, it's going to find the eye and your focus is set. With that being said, the camera can shoot at a very fast 11 frames a second. So you have some kind of action going on and you want to make sure that you get the shot. You can put the camera into high speed mode and just spur away. So you're going to have 11 full quality raw images every second, which is pretty much unheard of on any camera at this price range. But not only are you shooting 11 frames a second, you have full autofocus for each of those shots. So if you have a kid running to something on the playground and you have 11 frames a second firing away, you're going to get autofocus for each one of those shots, which means the kid should not lose focus within those shots. The camera can also recognize faces that you program into it, so it can remember different faces that you have saved to the camera and specifically find those faces in the shots that you're trying to get. This helps maybe if you're taking pictures of one specific person but it's a whole crowd of people, the camera will automatically find that specific person and focus on them because you have that face saved into the camera. Most of the buttons on the camera are programmable, so you can move things around and assign buttons to different things to however you see fit. You can control the camera with the app, so if you want to take pictures of yourself or something like that, then you can just set the camera up, pull up the app. From the app you have full camera control, so you can see the image, you can adjust all the settings and stuff as you need, and any pictures that you take can be sent directly to your phone if you want to edit the picture right then and there on your phone or post to Instagram or something like that. The lens selection for this camera is pretty good and Sony is going to be growing that a lot more in the near future. When you combine that with the Sigma lineup, then you have a very wide selection of lenses that you can use, as well as all of the full frame lenses are compatible with this camera as well. So if you plan on upgrading to a Sony full frame camera in the future, then you can buy all of the lenses and still use them with this body. Now let's talk about video, and this is where the camera really shines at. Once again, the autofocus is very solid. I'm using a Sigma 16mm right now and it's on autofocus and it's not hunting around or anything like that. So I can trust this camera on autofocus even if I'm not using the native Sony lens. The 4K video on this camera is very beautiful. It actually shoots at 6K and it downsamples that 6K footage to a 4K file, so the 4K video is very nice and crispy. This camera can shoot at 120 frames per second in 1080, so you can slow the footage down by 20% and get nice buttery smooth slow motion. You have access to Sony log profiles like S-Log2 and S-Log3, along with the Cine profile selection as well. So you have log footage, you have very good 4K, you have 120 frames per second slow motion, you have very solid autofocus, and you also have a mic input so you can attach like a Rode Video Mic Go or Micro or something like that on top of the camera. So that makes this camera a very, very solid option for photographers and videographers to use as an A cam or a B cam. So let's say if you have a more expensive camera for your A camera and that's your main shooter, well, these cameras can be a nice backup to that or a nice companion to use for B shots or something like that. Some general benefits to this camera is that it is mirrorless, so you have a smaller body, you have a viewfinder that shows you the image in real time, so you don't have to look at the back of the screen every time you take a picture to see if you got it, because what you see through the viewfinder is the exact image. This saves me a lot of time because I never have to go in the back of the camera to see if the picture was overexposed or underexposed or if they were blinking or anything like that, because I can see it in real time through the viewfinder every time I snap the picture. You also have focus peaking built in, so if you're somebody who likes the manual focus, the camera will outline what's in focus with a red outline. This works through the viewfinder as well. Another benefit of it is this camera is very good for adapting like vintage lenses and stuff like that. So a lot of those lenses won't be autofocus, so you can look through the viewfinder and still focus those lenses with that technology. Sony is well known for being good in low light, and this camera will pretty much destroy any other camera in this price range when it comes to that. It can also shoot in silent shutter mode, so if you're somewhere that doesn't need to be a lot of noise made, or you're doing wildlife photography and you don't want to disturb any of the animals or anything like that, you can put it in silent shutter mode, so when you take the picture, it's absolutely quiet. Now let's talk about possible cons, because every camera has cons. Headphone jack, you don't have one. You do have a mic input, but no headphone jack. So if you're somebody who likes to plug in the headphones and monitor the audio that you're recording, this is not the camera. So you have a mic input, no headphone input. The memory card slot is in a pretty awkward place. It's at the bottom of the camera next to the battery. So if you have the camera on some kind of tripod or something like that, then it might be a little hard to get the memory card out every time. Whereas most cameras, the memory card is in like the grip or something, and it's very easy to access. Not a major problem, but it can be a little annoying sometimes. If you get the a6300, then you don't have in-body image stabilization or touchscreen, but if you have the a6500, you have both of those things. You don't have a flip out screen, which I know a lot of people would like to have, including myself, but the autofocus is so good that I pretty much know if I'm standing in front of the camera, it's in focus. I've never had to worry about being in focus, but a flip out screen would definitely help with composing your shots and stuff like that, and just have that extra reassurance and knowing exactly what it looks like while you're recording. You do have an HDMI output, so if you want to mount a small monitor on top of the camera, then you can also do that, and that'll kind of solve that problem. The camera is known for not having the greatest battery life, and that does hold true, but I've pretty much never went through more than 2 batteries on any type of shoot. If you're shooting out of 4K, then yeah, you probably go through more batteries then, but as far as pictures or something like that, I've gone on shoots with the battery at 60%, 40%, and you don't have to take the battery out of the camera to charge it, so if you're in a pinch, you can just plug it into the car charger or something like that and go on by today. Another big one that some people have had issues with is overheating. Now when I first got the camera, the only time I would ever see an overheating issue is probably when I'm shooting in 4K for more than about 15 minutes. But after the latest firmware update, I've never really had any problems shooting in 4K. I've never had the camera overheat in 1080, and I've never had the camera overheat while taking pictures or anything like that. And I've never had the camera overheat while I was doing the shoot, so that's good. But do know if you're shooting in 4K for more than about 15 minutes, or if it's very hot or something like that, then overheating might be a problem. The screen on the back of the camera is usable, but it's not that bright, so if you have another option to use an external monitor or something like that, or if you can look through the viewfinder, that helps. But the screen can be very glary outside when the sun is shining right on it. And I think last one, this applies to most Sony cameras, is the menu system can be a little better. It's not horrible, but I've used this camera for a lot, so I pretty much know where everything is. But I feel like they could have organized things a little better. It's not really a major problem since the camera has so many other things going for it. And like I said, there's no such thing as a perfect camera, and those are just some of the negatives that I can point out. All in all, this camera has never failed me, it's never let me down. I've never looked at any of the pictures I've ever taken with this camera and wished I had a better camera. The lens selection available for this camera are just right for me, and I personally don't think there's anything else in this price range that can even compare to this camera. Now some of these things might be deal breakers for some people. Some people won't buy a camera if it doesn't have a flip out screen. Some people won't buy a camera if it doesn't have a headphone jack. Some people won't buy the camera if they can't record consistently for 30 minutes. Some people won't buy a camera if they need to carry spare batteries. So take everything I'm telling you and apply it to your situation. But all in all, I believe that this is a camera you should definitely consider getting, especially if you're balling on a budget, but you still need to get nice, high quality professional work done. I hope this video was helpful. Please leave me a thumbs up, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and I will see you guys next time.